Hey everybody, I'm Tommy and you are on the lifeboat and all that jazz. How are you? Reggae Bubbles, finally off one day. You know what? You need a new line of work. The hell do you mean finally off for one day? Somebody should be giving you more time off, Reggae Bubbles. That sucks. Cindy G, good to see you. Murphy, it is you. How are you, man? Mike Bragg, good to see you. Lilac Lime, what's happening? Hello to you, sir. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that, Cindy G. And you know what? Been close to a year since I've been able to sign on and watch a live stream because I split shift now. Well, it is fantastic to have you here, and I mean that. That's awesome. Audra in Denver, what's happening? Hey, honey. Renee B, on time. I'm a little late. Taylor Miller, how are you? Lots of friends here for you. Yeah, you know what? That's not such a bad thing. Hello, Rocket Queen. You know, yeah. DS Kitty Diane is here. Good, good. Susan Nelson. Oh, Sue, how are you? Just Joan. Chicka Cherry Cola is here. Well, I'll be damned. I'm glad that you are here. Anne of Cleavers from the UK. Well, I am glad that you are here. Welcome. You still watch me weekly? Well, I'm glad that you do. It means a lot to me. It really does. Friends are a good thing to have. They really are. And it's, and you know something, people, I'll tell you a story here in a second. It's, that's interesting as hell. And I hate to toot my own horn. I can't back that up. I dig tooting my own horn. But it is proof of things that I've said in the past that just prove that I'm not as dumb as I look sometimes. So this has just been, I did a show earlier and I talked about really wanting to plunge a needle in my arm. It's, I'm sure that it freaked a couple of people out. I don't really have I don't have a mechanism for those people to reach out to me. I used to, and I probably got a lot of emails. But I simply don't look at any of them, and it's part of how I live these days, and that's just sort of one of those things. However, there are still people, not a lot of them, I mean a very few of them, that can get a hold of me because they can get a hold of me. Tommy Bird, good to see you. Wendy R, I'm glad that you are here, and I have said very often that the beautiful thing about drug addicts is that they only come in a couple of varieties. And one of those varieties, when they become non-functioning or non-practicing drug addicts, they go out of their way to try to help people who are struggling. It's just one of those things that a lot of people have done. Oh, what a cool thing. I didn't even know they did that. I didn't even know they did that. Look at that. Has anyone checked their 2025 YouTube review? My top 3 most watched channels are Reese, Tommy, and Johnny. Well, that just warms my heart. And I think that Reese and Johnny would also appreciate that. No, should I have been freaked out? I believed you are good. Johnny is there, and you have those plus means lots of your life. You know what? Here's the thing, and that is all true. But I've said in the past that it's really kind of important to have people that kind of understand what you're going through, right? And it's one of the reasons that people that survive drug addiction, it's like finding your way out of a forest, right? You kind of want to find those people that are still in there, right? And take the same path that you got out, or at least try to lead people in the same path that you got out. And I have said I don't work with anybody anymore, right? The only person that I continue to work with is somebody that, Grandma Amy, good to see you. I'm glad you caught a live too. The only person I'm working with one-on-one, I work with simply put because I was working with this individual prior to kind of redefining my boundaries. West Coast Fancy Nancy, good to see you. I was working with this individual prior to resetting my boundaries. And it's a funny thing, right? I've told stories so many times on here where someone will, someone used to reach out and they would say to me, man, you saved me on such and such a day. You said this or you said that. And I go, yeah, I have no memory of it. And I don't say that to people. I go, oh, I really appreciate that. Yeah, no, you don't want to go, I don't know what the hell you're talking about, especially if you said something that genuinely helps somebody grow. And when you talk as much as I do, and you talk in places like this, Roberta, good to see you. Yeah, that notice thing is tough. This is pretty close to the time that I normally go live. Cindy G wants to know if it was a good birthday, Sinstar Clothing. It was. He sent me photos. It was a very, very cool birthday. Tommy, Johnny, SNZ, and Katie. So I've been working with Will, and this is Will, Sinstar Clothing. If you haven't hit subscribe, you really ought to. I've been working with Will for a long time, and in the beginning, I didn't work with Will one-on-one. Will just watched, I'm not joking you, everything I did. And I talked about this the other day, but I don't use the person's name anymore on the channel, not because I don't remember him, but because he has a child that's growing up that I don't ever want to come across this channel unless I don't want to talk about this person's death with and remind people. Most people who have been here for a long time are going to know what I'm talking about. But it was the death of somebody that I had worked with for hundreds of hours, and it rocked my world. And I said to my brother, I'm done with this stuff. I'm like, I just can't do this anymore. It's more than I can handle. And my brother said, hey, you know what? I respect it. Krista Melinda, I'm glad you're here. And Johnny said, I get it. I'm not, I won't bust your chops. If you got to stop, you got to stop. And that day, Will, AKA Sinstar Clothing X, left a comment on the boat that just rocked me. And it was a, you know what, when the pupil is ready, the teacher appears, right? That's why people sometimes will say, Tommy, you said something that was just fantastic, and I'm not sure what the hell it was, but that person was ready. And today when I did the show, I got about 3 or 4 texts in a row from Will. And hey, Kespo 72, good to see you. I'm glad you're here. And if I read them to you, I don't know that it would do anything to any of you the way that it did to me. Hey, it was my sober friend, celebrated a month. You know what? I don't want to misgender you. Tex, I'm not sure whether or not you were a man or a woman. And I remember after the last time you were here, I was talking to Therese about it. And I said, yeah, I don't know. I don't even know, if that was a guy or a girl. I don't want to misgender anybody. That tends to piss people off. But I am proud of you. I hope you're still doing well. You're a male. All right. Still rocking. That's what I like to hear. Good for you, my brother. I am proud of you. And I mean that in the best sense of the word. David Booley, good to have you here. And Will came through with advice that is so much better than advice that I ever could have given anyone else, much less myself. And it was funny because there was nothing preachy or anything about it. He said, he led off with, I'm not going to say anything you don't already know. And Heather, good to see you. How are you? I'm glad that you're here. And then he just said some of the most intelligent things, and things that you would have had to stuff a needle in your arm, right? Thousands and thousands of times to say what he said. And there is something really important about being able to connect with people that walked the same path and survived. And I could probably spend the next hour talking about the comments that the stuff that Will sent. And you know what? Humble is a really beautiful thing, man. It really is. It's a beautiful thing. Because then after about an hour, right? Because I didn't say anything. I read it and it just kind of had me sitting on the couch thinking, which is the best comments or the best messages in the world make you think. They make you do the homework yourself. And it's exactly what he did. And I was sitting on the couch pondering the things that he had said to me. And then another one came through and it said, you know what, maybe you shouldn't go live tonight. And I already decided I was going to go live tonight because I was feeling way better about myself because of what he said. And I sent a text to him that said, no, I'm going to go live tonight, shortly after 8. I said, I feel fantastic. I said, a friend of mine gave me some advice and said some things that really just sort of set me on the right track. And his comment back said something along the lines of, fantastic, who was it? And of course, in the kindest way possible, because that's who I am, I said, hey, you're dense. It was you. I don't really talk to anybody else. But and I think he was shocked. He said, yeah, I don't know what I said that would have gotten your attention. I said, welcome to my world, right? When the pupil's ready, the teacher appears. And Will, I love you, brother. I can't begin to tell you how much I appreciate you reaching out to me today. It's why I'm live right now. And my problems aren't gone, but my desire to want to do stupid shit that I did my entire life to make it go away, that desire is not here. And sometimes, hey, whine a little bit more. Good to see you. Patty Jonas, what's happening? Sometimes you have to just sit down and get to the point where you go, you know what? Yeah, I could go drink a 5th of bourbon. None of my problems are going to go away. And when I wake up in the morning, I'm going to have a brain-splitting headache. And there's a chance that I might just decide to drink to make the hangover go away. And the next thing you know, and I use this because my particular brand of addiction is nasty as hell to talk about. So I used alcohol instead. But it's the same thing for anyone. It doesn't matter what your addictions are. They take your problems away for brief periods of time, yeah? Right? They take away your problem for brief periods of time, and they do. Make no mistake, right? Painkillers are fantastic. They kill pain. They kill spiritual pain. They kill emotional pain, right? They kill physical pain. But if you don't take the bone and set it, then you're going to have to keep taking morphine every day for the rest of your life while that thing literally deforms your body, right? It'll heal, and your leg will heal at an angle like this. And it happens. It used to happen to people all the time until medicine, the science of medicine got to a point where they're like, we have to reset that bone. We have to put it into place. And you got to do a hell of a lot of dope to do that. This hand, right? Big enough anyway. But I broke every single bone in this hand. And I'd love to tell you some good story about it, but there really isn't one. I did something really, really stupid. It's called a boxer break. Ideally, you shouldn't hit things this way. We're not designed like that, right? It would work way better if you hit it like a hammer, but it doesn't look as cool in a boxing ring. And I threw a punch that broke every bone in my hand, and it looked like a tent. It was literally like this. And I went in, and the doctor said, there are two options. And I said, okay, what are they? And he said, well, the first option is we're going to give you, Miss All Smokes, good to see you, Jamie Palmer, what's happening? We're going to give you a hell of a lot of morphine, and then we're going to stand on your hand and break that thing back down. And I said, I'll take option two. I don't give a shit what option two is, because I've had my nose broken a bunch of times. And when you go in and get your nose fixed, they go up it with a thing that kind of looks like a screwdriver, except there's not threads, a Phillips head or a straight, thing on the end. It's kind of rounded, almost like you could put a thread through it, like an eye hook. And they just go back and kind of mash it back into place. And it doesn't hurt. They give you enough dope that it does not hurt. But that sound will stay with you for the rest of your life. And I thought, I can't have somebody standing on my hand. I don't want to hear that. So I had surgery to fix that. It has been, you have the lowest pain. That sucks, Reggae Bubbles. A low pain tolerance is bad. I do not have a low pain tolerance. I'm kind of blessed that way. I do fairly well with pain, physical pain. But I have a spiritual and an emotional pain threshold that, how they used to do that thing with the smiley face and the shitty face, and it was like a 0 to a 10 kind of a thing. If my spiritual and emotional pain get to a 2, I'm screwed. I mean, you can break stuff on me. I do pretty well with that. But I don't do so well with spiritual and emotional pain. I'm kind of a cripple that way. But if you don't fix the problem, if you don't set the bone, my hand would have healed eventually, right? Except this would have looked like a tent. I would have had bones that healed in that direction. And we have to get to a point where we're willing to do the work to heal spiritually and emotionally in the same way. And the other day I said something about there are times that you have to hurt. And it's hard when there are people around who very much don't want you to, right? When there are people that just want to go, you're right. It's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. There are times it's not going to be okay. There are times that you're just going to have to deal with stuff that is going to make you want to punch your ticket, right? Make you want to go grab your drug of choice. Blueberry, if you're wondering. Tommy, when you start feeling that way again, you and Johnny just need to go for a walk on the Malecon and reflect on the day and just talk. We did. We did. You know what else I did? And got a lot of music fans here. You know what else I did? Delbert McClinton. Loud. I don't know if you know who Delbert McClinton is, but Delbert McClinton is a guy that, by all accounts, has no right having that much blues and being a white dude. But I love Delbert McClinton. And there's music you forget about. You ever heard people talk about triggers, right? When you go to a rehab, they'll say to you, make a list of all of the things that trigger you, right? All of the things that make you want to do dope. And it's really easy to start going through all of the different things that, you got trauma from your youth, right? Let's say that you were abused in your childhood. If somebody does similar actions to you, it can be a look, it can be a word. That's a trigger that will make you want to go get high. If certain music, if you grew up with, I've talked about this many times on the Lifeboat, but when the album Appetite for Destruction came out, I was just starting to use a needle. And that was an album that I used to put on every single morning. And that was what I fixed to for a couple of decades. I didn't cook up dope and do it unless Appetite for Destruction was on. And it was usually Mr. Brownstone. And for 9+ years, I couldn't listen to that song. That song would come on, and I guarantee you my pupils would dilate. I'm not kidding you. It was just, it's neuro-linguistic behavioral training of sorts, right? It's programming, right? There you go, Audra in Denver knows who I'm talking about. Yeah, I was listening to that. I was also listening to Boxcar B Movie, a song that just, I always love that song. Your channel has always been there for me. Lost for words. Just want to sit and enjoy this moment. Do that. Do that. And I've said before, this is not the first time that he's saved. At one point, he saved the channel. And you know what? So did Tommy Bird. There's been a lot of times where I was ready to bail. Tommy Bird sent me an email once, and if I could have found him at the moment I got it, I swear to you, I would have killed him. Because I walked away from the channel. Made it about 60 days. I actually shut the channel down. And I was not in a good place. I was angry at a lot of things that were going on in my life. This was years ago, literally. This was before anything that you might be thinking, unless you've been on the boat a long time. And I just sort of walked away from it. And he sent me an email that said, he was talking about the boat, and he's like, you know, it needs paint. He said, it's certainly not in the shape it used to. It's kind of beat. The deck needs a whole lot of work. And he just was describing a boat that certainly needed a little restoration. And he said, you know, and the captain's not always perfect. And he just went through all this. He said, but it's our boat, damn it. Oh, I was pissed, man. I was pissed. Tex, I'm telling you, it's people like you that keep this thing going, right? For real. This goes for all of you. This is a hard world, man. And it's a hard world if you went to freaking Harvard, got straight A's, your parents are still married, they didn't do anything bad to you, nobody ever abused you or molested you or any of that shit. It's a hard world no matter what. Those of us that tend to find this kind of content, we didn't grow up in that world, right? We didn't. All of us have some things that are really, really difficult to. Hey, Wes Lightburn, good to see you. There's stuff that we're still working through, and you know what? God willing, I'll be around in 20 years, right? And I'll still be working through shit that happened to me at 14. And I used to say you got to have 5 people that you can call. You got to have 5 people that you can reach out to if you're hurting. And when I said I'm not taking emails anymore, I'm not answering anything. I'm just not answering anything. I don't let people reach out to me in any way, right? I just don't. And people said to me, "What about your 5, man? You preached this for years." Yeah, this is my 5. Like, I can come here and do this, but there are times you need more than that. And you know, having Johnny was a drug addict. My girlfriend was a drug addict at one time. It's all good, but honestly, Tommy, I did that for selfish reasons. Really, my friend, back then I just really needed the boat because you didn't quit. Now I don't as much. Tommy, I love that. And you know what? I'm not going to lie to you. I knew why you did it. That's why I wanted to hit you. That email punched me so hard in the stomach. It was definitely, it came across as, you know what, man, we all need that boat. It might be ugly as hell, but we all need it. And it worked, right? And I'm glad that you sent it. And I'm glad that Will reached out to me today. I really am. It was, Reggae Bubble says, I think I remember that. Yeah, it was, man, I still have the email. I pull it out every once in a while and read it. I have a file of stuff like that I pull out and I read. But today was a trip because I work with Wes, and it's kind of one of those situations that I've been the teacher in this situation, and you know, I'm also the dude in the front of the room. He found the lifeboat a long time ago, and he's been watching me talk about this stuff for a long time. And I don't do rehab content like other people. I'll come on and say, you know, I want to get high, right? That's just not something that you see often. And I don't crap on people that are still using. I am not the usual channel, right? By any stretch. I hate addiction. I don't hate drugs, believe it or not, right? I just don't. That's not my battle. I hate addiction, and I hate addiction that kills people. So I'm not a really big fan of any opioids that are still on the planet. And I said this, man, I swear to God, I said this so long ago, but Tommy Bird will probably tell you, any of the people that have been here forever, I said the days are coming where we're going to look back on the good old days where it was heroin. Because the stuff that they're making now is so dangerous. It's just effing poison, right? But I hate that stuff. Not to make it about me. Well, the boat's supposed to be about you. Not to make it about me, but my boyfriend and I had a good conversation about religion and how we would introduce it to any of our kiddos we might have. I'm happy to know that we really agree on how to handle it when we get there. You know, it's one of the most important things in the world. And I'm not making that up, right? This is what people say. There are certain things that destroy relationships. And one of them is, and it always blows me away when people can do this, but you know, where somebody is a Muslim and somebody is a different faith, or somebody is a Christian and someone is a different faith. That's an incredibly difficult thing to navigate, right? When there are two different yardsticks. And I'm not saying it can't happen, but you have a compass that points one way and your partner has a compass that points in a different way. Both are paths that people walk. It's a hard thing to do as a couple. But politics is another one, they say. But you look at people like James Carville and his wife. James Carville is left of Lenin, and his wife is right of Rush Limbaugh. And the two of them somehow got together and got married. And you just go, God, how the hell do you do that? And in those particular ones, especially with people in politics, in my opinion, it's because these people sell out to the highest bidder, right? I mean, honest to God, I don't think that they believe a whole lot in what they do. And I'm not being disrespectful to any of them. I'm really not. But we've seen people that will help run a campaign for one party and then go help run a campaign for another. Your ideology changed that hard, or the bid just got that big, right? I don't know. Left of Lenin, did you like that? Sorry. And Lenin read a book by Marx, Quartet Practiced in the Park. Music. So triggers. See, watch how I wind this back in. This is what happens when you get old. But triggers are something that are real, right? And they ask you in rehab to write down all the things that are going to trigger you so that you don't do them. If one of your triggers is going to the pub and throwing darts, give up darts, right? If every time you got shit-faced for 20 years, you were throwing darts, you're probably going to have to stop throwing darts. Because going back and doing that is going to be, or you're going to do them in your living room with none of the fellas around, not drinking cider or ale or whiskey or any of that. That's a trigger. That's a difficult thing. There are good triggers, right? Make no mistake. There are good triggers. Music can pull you out of anything. Put a 2 in the chat. If there is a song that instantly comes to your head that every time it comes on, it changes the mood that you're in for the better. And I guarantee you, because of a specific age group that tends to hang out on the lifeboat, I could absolutely give you one, right? I could absolutely give you one. Look at all those deuces. I think part of the reason Tommy is so refined and worldly is because of his mom as a teacher. There's a lot of truth to that. There's a lot of truth to that. Everybody in my family is a teacher. All of the women in my family were teachers, all of them. And my father was a excellent speaker. But everybody in my family who was a woman, didn't finish the sentence. I never finished the sentence. And they were already out there with the deuces. Down, 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 down. Turn it up. That song comes on the radio, and before Ronnie Van Sant says "turn it up," your hand's already going to the radio to turn it up. And I'm not kidding on that, Reggae Bubbles. Both of my sisters, my mom, aunts, my grandfather. There's a lot of people in my pedantic people throughout the entire family. A lot of people were in education. Sweet Home Alabama, right? Every time that comes on, tell me, unless you hate the song, most people don't, but when that song comes on, turn it up. Before they say that, you're already reaching for the knob. It's just one of those songs. The one that really does it for me is Life's Been Good to Me So Far. When that song comes on, right, and depending on your view on life, it's an Eagles song or it's a Joe Walsh song, right? But I remember being 6 years old, 7 years old, and sitting in my living room with my feet up on this massive stereo thing that we had. It probably weighed 9 tons. It was a big old, it had an 8-track and it had a record player and it had all that stuff built into it and a couple of big speakers. I would put my feet up on this massive oak cabinet thing. And that song would come on and that first riff is just always takes me to a much better place. And if you know that, then you can absolutely work on it. I'm an old school dude, been doing stuff like pot and booze and snow, but that's it. Just can't understand the new age drugs that are in the world today. Wes Leiper, and here's the deal. Even the stuff that you used to do, like we did weed back in the day that was like 10, maybe 12% THC. Like the brick stuff was even worse. It just wasn't very good. Now you got stuff that's 40% THC. Like, this ain't dad's pot, right? This isn't the stuff that I grew up smoking. It's like green terror now. It's not the same stuff. And most of the cocaine that's on the street, up until just recently, there is a brand new influx of blow into the United States, and cocaine's making a comeback. And isn't that a good thing? But before that, it was all fake. I've told this story 100 times. A song from Deep Purple, "Smoke on the Water." They got a plaque for that being one of the, I think it may be the most played song in radio history. And I know people are going to go, what? But Walsh all the way. I love Joe Walsh. Have a Little Faith in Me, Delbert McClinton. Favorite of all. That's a great tune. Yeah, the drugs right now are all effed up. They absolutely are. But when I went to prison, this was the state rip, because most of my prison was done in the feds. But I did one really short sentence in the state. And when I went for my state rip, when you get in, they drug test you the day that you get there. And they give you a list of everything you failed for. And then you go in and you sit down with the woman, and she's about to hand me the list. And she's like, "So what drugs did you do on the street?" I said, occasionally I would smoke weed, but I do speedballs. Like, the only two drugs you're going to find in my system are coke and heroin. I definitely haven't done anything in a long enough period of time where that's going to be the only things that you're going to find, right? Redbones, Come Get Your Love, and Country Roads by John Denver. Nice. Glenn Campbell's Southern Nights. Glenn Campbell's amazing. But she said to me, "Well, you did fail for heroin, and you did fail for cocaine, but you also failed for PCP and methamphetamine." And I went, "Wrong test. You got the wrong dude, because I don't do that, right? I don't do that. Neither of those drugs are something that I do, so you're wrong. You're absolutely wrong, right? Just let it know you're wrong." "Archie's mom, good to see you." I said, "You're wrong. I don't do those." "You're wrong." And she said to me, "Speedballs." I said, "Yeah." She goes, "You're buying coke that isn't coke." She said, "They take, Oh What a Night." Good one, Audra in Denver. "Late December back in '6." Almost anything Frankie Valli does picks me up, but that's a really good one. "Reminiscing" by the Little River Band. Those first notes come on, "Friday night, it was late." I'm already smiling. Always, always. But she said they take these baking sheets and they would dump basically what's Anbesol, the stuff you put on your tooth if you're having a toothache. That's not literally what it is, but it's the same kind of ingredients. And they would bake that stuff until it was white. Chop all that up, grind it, then add in some methamphetamine so that it would keep you up and give you that kind of, but it doesn't give you the euphoria that blow does. So they put just enough PCP in there that it isn't going to make you weird, but it's going to give you the euphoria that cocaine does. How does he say it in that movie, Walk Hard? "Takes all your bad feelings and make you some good." Something along those lines. "Baby, I'm amazed by the way you love me all the time." You're not old enough for that to be a good one for you. Sin Star, actually, he's getting old. I'm kidding. Rocket Queen says, "There are so many good songs. Can't make a decision on my favorite. Too much pressure." So happy together. I can't see you loving no. But these are good triggers, right? If we know these songs do that to us, and you're sitting in your house going, "Son of a bitch, I need a drink," it's not difficult to put one of those songs on and crank it up and take yourself back 15 years. Oh man, this is so funny. Caroline in Canada. So funny. Lido Shuffle's in my top 3. For real, for turning. When I was in prison in the feds, you could have an MP3 player. You pay like $1 to $1.50 a song, right? And the way it works, nobody can steal it, because every 14 days you have to plug it into a device that reloads all of your stuff back onto it, like instantly. But if somebody takes your stuff, they wouldn't be able to go on there, enter your number. They can't trade. They can't do any of that. They make sure that that's not, you even have to use a thumbprint. But I had a lot of music. I spent thousands of dollars on music when I was in prison. But Mr. Blue Sky by ELO, fantastic. Midnight Riders, another good one. But Lido Shuffle, oh man, just the first bass line was it starts coming in, boom, 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 and then it goes up right before he comes in. Lido missed the boat. That I probably played that song in prison more than any other. I promise you. That was because it will pull me out of a mood. It really will absolutely pull me out of a mood. By the way, last night, I saw the moon here in Ecuador. Just saying it with you. See that, Audra in Denver? Lido missed the boat that day. He left the shack. You know what's funny is Johnny Scoville can play the Lido Shuffle. A lot of the songs that we're saying right now, my brother can play, and he'll get on the guitar, and I'll fart around on the harmonica, and we'll just sort of go like Boxcar B Movie. It's just a very basic kind of guitar riff in the background, and the rest is just Delbert blowing on a harp and then singing. And I did that today. After the song was all over, I got out the old blues harp and started blowing on it, and it just it makes you feel better. I wouldn't have done that without the messages from Wes, which is kind of a big deal, man. It really is, and it's funny. Not funny, ha ha, right? But I called this video "A Friend in Need," and I know that everybody in here is thinking a friend with weed or a friend in need is a friend indeed. Is that? But the timing of these things, you take for granted what that means to somebody. I've had a lot of letters sent to me over the years, man. The cold moon, yeah, it was the last moon of the year, right? I don't know if it was full last night. It didn't look like it on the equator. It looked a little bit smaller than full. So I guess it would have been waning just slightly. It looked maybe a day off of full, but it was pretty wild to see it because I've given up seeing it from down here, and it was pretty crazy to see it. And I said to Johnny, man, I wish I had seen it. He was like, go outside, it's still there. And I went out and just stared at it for a while last night. It was a beautiful thing. Because there's one and then 2 nights of a full moon. That's called a blue moon. Wait a sec, there's 2 nights because a lunar cycle is not 31 days, it's 28 days, right? So a couple of times a year, you'll get two full moons in 1 month. So when you hear somebody say, once in a blue moon, that's where that expression comes from. You're gonna get 2 full moons in 1 month. That would be a blue moon, which is a song that isn't really a pick-me-up kind of song, unless it's done by Clyde McPhatter. Anybody here know that tune? We got a deuce in the chat if you know Clyde McPhatter's version of Blue Moon. Ba 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 dang da dang dang da ding da ding dang da doo da doo boom blue moon doo doo boom ba doo ba doo doo doo. Blue moon, yes, 2 in the same month. I'm not talking what happens on the blue moon. Well, thank you. Look at that. Or watching Grease. You know, I did Grease. I did the play Grease when I was younger. Still have some pretty cool photos of it. I was in that one. That play always gets me. However, sometimes it triggers me in the wrong direction. You know, the movie's a little different because the soundtrack from the movie and the soundtrack from the musical are really different. The soundtrack from the movie is very disco. And I dig disco. I'm not bagging on it. But that's the version of Blue Moon on Grease. I believe you're right. I think it is Clyde McPhatter but that the movie will lift me up. Watching the musical, I've probably seen the musical done 20 times since I did it myself. And every time I walk in and sit down and watch one of them, everybody on stage just starts looking younger. Like every time I go in there, they're looking younger and younger and younger, and it's kind of depressing. It starts making me feel old. I love Grease the movie, and I love the soundtrack, and I think the best song on it is actually Grease. Grease is the word. Yeah, great. In the movie, it's a great song. It is not in the musical, right? It's not in that version of the musical. It's just in the but it is a great song. And that soundtrack was great. It really was. That song sounds familiar. I bet it does. I bet it does. Clyde McPhatter had a huge hit with that. He was massively successful with that. You never saw Grease. I played Danny Zuko, Archie's mom. I played Danny Zuko. Had a big head of hair and a pompadour with 2 big sideburns. I promise you, sometime this week, because I'm going to have to ask somebody to get it. And written by the great Barry Gibb. Yeah, I love Derek and the Dominoes, Layla. I assume you mean the original version of that. There's something really bumming that just bums me out listening to him go, Layla, you got me on my knees. That just doesn't sound like Layla to me at all. I will, at some point in the next 7 days, show you a picture of me as Danny Zuko. But I'm going to have to have to get it from the United States. I didn't pack any of that stuff to bring here, but I will get that. You have my word. I will. I will absolutely get that. And if I told you how long ago I did, you would be depressed. Yeah, shame on you, says Audra in Denver. How have you not seen Grease? You know, every once in a while, someone will say something like, I'll say something about Frampton Comes Alive, and people will go, yeah, I never heard of that album. And I go, what? Didn't they mail that to you in your Sunday newspaper? Like, if you grew up at a certain time, isn't it absolutely impossible that you didn't have, or Cheap Tricks Live at Budokan, right? Double Live Gonzo. There were albums that everybody, Thriller, right? There were just albums that everybody had. And I thought the movie Grease was something that every single person on earth must have seen. I'm 48 now and saw it as a kid originally, and I still love it. You know what's crazy too? It kind of holds up. Chicago with Richard Gere and Renee Zellweger and Catherine Zeta-Jones. Do you know I never saw that? I know the play, the musical. I've seen it 500,000 times. I just didn't see that version of it. But my father used to rave about it. I think it's why I can't watch it. Every time I would talk to my dad, he'd go, when you come here, we're going to watch Chicago. Got to see it with me. It's fantastic. And then he passed, and I just haven't been able to. Rumors is another one. I haven't been able to bring myself to do it. It's just one of those things. But even my brother Johnny raves about it. Says it was, we all had Frampton Comes Alive and Rumors. Yeah. You know what? I was telling my brother this. I heard recently that Neil Young was actually bagging on that album. He said that album, Rumors, Fleetwood Mac. He said it never should have been made. It wasn't an album. It was a soap opera. And we never should have been let into those things that were happening in their lives. To which I say, well, I can't say it on here. I make a point to not use that word, but you know the one I'm thinking about. Well, I heard Mr. Young sing about her. I'm sick of Neil Young. Sorry. Sick of him. How about that other Rumors song? Look at all these rumors. Well, there you go. You don't like Rumors? Well, I'll be damned. And Southern Man don't need him around anyhow. Well played. Yeah. Do you know that there are still people that don't know that Sweet Home Alabama is about Neil Young bagging on Alabama? And the guys that sang it were not from Alabama. How about that? They were not from Alabama. Sounds like jealousy to me because Neil Young's not exactly a pillar of innocence. Boy, I'm telling you. I just, well, he had a list of a bunch of other bands that he just couldn't stand. And I was shocked by all of them. Like, he just bagged on everyone. Didn't like Journey. I mean, I guess you can not like Journey, but now they think Kid Rock is singing it. Well played. Well played. It was like when the movie Wayne's World came out and a whole new generation of people found the song Bohemian Rhapsody. And it would come on the radio and people would go, oh, it's that thing from Wayne's World. And I would just throw up in the back of my mouth a little bit. Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young is one of my favorite bands forever and ever. But their politics individually, I don't know, man. Yeah, well, you know something? This is why people shouldn't put too much politics into whatever they do if they're an entertainer. You know what? No, you don't. No, you don't. You don't suck now. Don't say that. Don't say that. People do this all of the time. No, you don't. Ballroom Blitz, not a bad song. The Ballroom Blitz, not a bad song. Don't like Grease, says Me Saw Smokes. Oh, okay. I thought you didn't like Rumors. I can see not liking Grease. I really can. I don't know that I would have been a Grease fanatic if I hadn't done Grease myself. There's something about it that I find nostalgia. There's just something nostalgic in it for me. Audra in Denver, you need to start singing again. It's my instruction to you. You need to start, and you need to start soon. And you know what? If you think you suck, go ahead and do it, right? Just keep doing it. Barry Gibb, yeah, he has written a ton of songs. He definitely has. Meredith Lynn, good to see you. How are you? You know, something like Twist and Shout came out from Ferris Bueller. You want to hear something that, hindsight being 2020, I kind of feel bad about? One of my favorite teachers was an Italian dude, and he passed away my senior year. And they wanted to make his favorite song the song for our graduating class. And I stood up and was like, yeah, I loved him. He was a good dude, but with all due respect, it ought to be Twist and Shout. And that was our senior class song. So Maybe if I could do it over again, I don't know. But it is a twist and shout. When I was a little kid, if Johnny Scova were in the chat, he would back this up. He and I were hanging out with my uncle once, and he said something, and he goes, he brought up Twist and Shout as the song, and I go, I don't know that song. And he goes, you don't know that song? And I mean, I might have been 12, you know? And I go, no. And he goes, I said, why should I? He goes, it's our national anthem. He's also the guy that gave us the motto, if it's worth doing, it's worth overdoing. That was our Uncle Scenic Bob. He was a wild man. Nick's on Chicago, says Audra in Denver. We had a 50s hop in high school, one of the most fun nights of my life. And you all wore Bobby socks. Don't get me started on Bobby socks. I'm tone deaf, but I still sing a lot. Archie's mom, if my older sister were here, and she doesn't watch me, but if my older sister were here, she would tell you that she had the worst voice in history, but if I'm around and I'm singing, she'll sing with me. Because I don't care if somebody's singing good or not. I just want to hear people belt it out and have fun. Barbara Streisand sang a great song with Celine Dion called Tell Him. And Celine Dion did a song with the Bee Gees, Immortality. If you ever get a chance to listen to that, that is absolutely gorgeous. You want to talk about a beautiful song? They did it live on stage in Vegas for an album called One Night Only, or a concert called One Night Only. Immortality, correct, Jamie Palmer. Beautiful song. There are certain songs that just, you listen to the words and you go, man, that's beautiful. Kind of like Black Betty by Ramjet. I'm kidding. That was a joke. My mom was a Celine Dion fan, and she passed it down to me. I've met Celine Dion on a lot of occasions, and was a very nice person. And her husband, the one that passed away, Renee, I met him as well. Back in the 90s, I did a deal in Canada, and she was a large part of the charity part of the organization that I worked with. There were a lot of stars who were, but she was one of the sort of big names in it, and was a very nice person. Hey, South America, what's happening? It was a beautiful day in Ecuador. I'll tell you what, outside it was absolutely gorgeous. And when this ends, I'm going to go for a long walk and see if I can spot the moon again. Every morning I have a different song stuck in my head. They are always random. That's unusual. But I love that. What do they call those? They have words for those now. Earworms, I think they call that. Yeah, her health is not great right now, Jamie Palmer. I never saw her in Vegas. I would have liked to have seen that. But if I could have seen a Vegas show, I would have liked to have seen One Night Only with the Bee Gees. Go ahead and mock me. The trolls are already typing. Tommy's a Bee Gee fan. I love the Bee Gees. I'm sorry, I am. Now I'm a shower and or car singer like everyone else. And you suck. Why? Because you're in the shower or because you're in the car? Don't say that, right? Warm up and belt it out. Robert Palmer. We lost Robert Palmer way too soon. We really did. We lost Robert Palmer way too soon. Doctor, give me the news. And that you remember the Halloween where every single woman in America went as one of the girls from his video? Showers have great acoustics. So do stairwells, right? If you live in a high rise or you live somewhere, the stairwells are just absolutely an amazing place to sing. Sometimes I take the stairs just so that I can belt it out. And the good news is I know they can't understand what I'm saying 90% of the time. So if I'm singing Cyndi Lauper's Shabop, no one knows what it's really about. Sorry, didn't mean to ruin that song for a bunch of people, but I did. Audra in Denver, I am ordering you to start singing again and to stop saying you're no longer good at it. We had a summer day for this Sunday. Good. I'm glad to hear that. It was very summerish here today as well. Although when I walked to church this morning, addicted to love. There you go. When I walked to church this morning, it was not very warm. Someone told me what Shabop was about. It was weird. Yeah, it's about rubbing one out. Right? It's about a girl playing with herself. Juice Newton, an angel of the morning. Boy, Juice Newton is a name I haven't heard in a very long time. Really long time. I forgot about Juice Newton. How about Eddie Rabbit? Does anybody remember Eddie Rabbit? Well, I love a rainy night. Eddie Rabbit, huh? He had that big kind of he had that hair thing going on that was super impressive. Another one is she really going out with him? Every time that comes on, that's another one that just kind of lifts me up. And Reggae Bubbles, anything by Bob Marley. Anything by Bob Marley. You know, Three Little Birds, if you can listen to Three Little Birds and not feel better as it's being played, you're a dick. There's something wrong with you. Your soul needs work. The song from Christine. Christine. Is that the movie about the car? That's the horror movie about the car, right? That just kept repairing itself. You remember the song? Rainy Nights. And Juice Newton reminds me of early 80s and being tiny. Yeah, she was not big. I love Adele's songs. You know what's really funny? I got a good Adele story for you. Adele's songs would come on when I was in the shoe, and you would hear 70 guys singing Adele. I'm serious. Everyone would be belting it out. Dolly Parton and Melissa Etheridge did a show where they sang each other's songs. Dolly singing Bring Me Some Water is amazing. I did not know that. I would like to see Elvira. Boom, bop, boom, bop, boom, bop, mo, mo. I like all of 21. Rumor has it. Turning Tables, Adele. Yeah, the Gambler by Kenny Rogers, another song that absolutely will lift me up. If I had a little bit of country, a little bit of rock and roll playing repeat in my head today, good. Caribbean Queen. Eddie Money, right? Wasn't that Eddie Money? Caribbean Queen. It wasn't Christine. It's Eddie and the Cruisers. That was the movie that was on when Reese, when the day that Reese was born, her parents were watching Eddie and the Cruisers and had to stop watching Eddie and the Cruisers to go to the hospital to give birth to Reese. All of these songs remind me of being a little in the 80s. Yeah, you know what? Good stuff, right? Billy Ocean. The Devil Went Down to Georgia. He was looking for a soul to steal. Do you remember the first? Okay, you're going to have to put a 2 in the chat. Are you ready? Be ready on your buzzers. Top 5 answers on the board. Here's the question. Do you remember the first time you were listening to The Devil Went Down to Georgia on the radio and you heard it come out, I told you once, you son of a bitch, instead of son of a gun? And you were like, oh, what the hell was that? Because when it first came out in the 80s, it said, I told you once, you son of a gun, I'm the best it's ever been. And it played like that through the top 40 era. And about 1 year later, they started to back off a little bit on the censorship. And when it came on, he was in a bind because he was way behind. He was willing to make a deal. Came across a young lad, sawing on a fiddle and playing it hot. And, you know, this may be a very unpopular opinion. I, especially being, you know, a believer in all that. But let's be really honest. The Devil with the band of demons that joined in, I think it might have been a better tune. I'm sorry. I really dug it. We always had it that way in Canada. I'll be damned. Well, I remember like my mom. Yeah, you couldn't say bitch on the radio, right? But I'm sitting in the car and he's like, I told you once, you son of a bitch, I'm the best it's ever been. And I looked at Johnny, right? We were like waiting to see if my mom heard it. Devil jumped up on a hickory stump and said, boy, let me tell you what. On the Dark Side. Thank you. That was the song. I couldn't think of the name of it. On the dark side. They would bleep it out, says Mike Bragg. Downright rebellious, says Kristen Melinda. It was, you know, you were living on the edge. You were living on the freaking edge. I first heard Devil Went Down to Georgia in Urban Cowboy. What a great movie. That really was a good flick. And I'll tell you something. I used to party at Gillies in Texas. Of course, it was the rebuilt Gillies because Gillies burnt down a bunch of times. I have an 80s baby and a 90s chick, says Archie's mom. I remember a little bit of both of those decades, and as I think I enjoyed it. Like the Dire Straits say the F word in one of their most popular songs, and then they removed it. The F word, by the way, is not the F bomb. The word was faggot. That little faggot with the earring and the makeup. Yeah, buddy. And I'll tell you something. It bums me out that they just removed an entire verse. He wasn't bagging on those people. He was bagging on the redneck guys who were installing stuff in his house that saw Sting on the television and called Sting a faggot. And Sting is the guy that opens up that song going, I want my, right? He called Sting up. They were friends and said, man, this dude just called you this. I'm writing a song about it. But oddly enough, they just got rid of an entire verse, right? This is a problem for me, right? I honestly, this is a problem for me. Wang Chung tonight. Everybody have fun tonight. Everybody Wang Chung tonight. The Broccoli family. Albert R. Broccoli is the guy that made the first James Bond films, but he didn't write James Bond. Ian Fleming wrote James Bond. I read all of Ian Fleming's books, and he based it on himself, right? So he created a character named James Bond. James Bond was 6'2". He weighed 190 pounds. He had a very large scar on one side of his face. It was nothing like sort of the campy stuff that they made into it, very Batman-like, where he throws a toaster in the and electrocutes the guy in the bathtub and goes, shocking. Like, that's really not the way it was. But to say we're just going to change it and make James Bond a woman, to me, right? Or we're going to make him black, or we're going to make him Mexican. That's like going to the Mona Lisa and going, no, we're just gonna fart around with this too. It's a pretty painting, but I think that the chick ought to be smiling. Art is art, whether you write it or whether you sing it or whether it's art. And to take someone's art and go, you know what? We don't like that word anymore. You're not going to be able to have it in the songs. I got an idea. Go F yourself, right? Grow up. If those words are really hurting you that bad, then life's going to suck. It's going to suck. If you need a safe space because someone said the word faggot, you need help. I'm sorry. Do I ever listen to rap? I'm assuming no. Well, you'd assume wrong. But I'm not sure that we may agree on what rap is, right? I listened to a lot of Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five when it first came out. Anybody know the song The Message? Broken glass everywhere. You remember that one? Daniel Craig was big enough, was a big enough stretch to believe as James Bond. Honestly, I think that at least the way they wrote Daniel Craig was way more like the books were. He showed fear, right? I saw the Casino Royale, right? If you watch Casino Royale, he's freaked out. He's very much, and he's a hitman. I mean, that's what Bond is. He had a license to kill. That's what the 00 thing was. And they really kind of changed it up, right? Hip hop, right? That's a little different. Like, I remember rap, right? We have to take hip hop back from these mofos. Well, there you go. See that? I tend to agree. I haven't seen any of the Bond films either. None of them, for as long as they've been made. Jamie Palmer, you got to go out of your way to say, I'm not going to watch a freaking Bond film. What was it? What was the line in the sand that said, I'm not watching Bond? The Wild Wild West. Yeah, absolutely. I remember the Wild Wild West. That was my clubbing days. Like Wild Wild West. I wear my sunglasses at night. All of Slick Rick. There you go. That's rap. Sugar Hill Gang. That was rap. White Lines. Yeah. Visions, dreams of passion running through my mind. Very strange reaction. The more I see, the more I do. Didn't think that I had that in me, did you? Ticket to Ride, the White Line Highway. Tell all your friends that they can go my way. Sell your soul, go down the hole. Pound for pound costs more than gold. The longer you stay, the more you pay. Oh, I know all of that. I grew up with that stuff. And then it changed on me. And I was like, yeah, I'm good. Yeah, see that? Look at that. Somebody, a little something. And then it was redone. Everybody redid it. Grandmaster Flash put it in one of his albums. Curtis Blow really kind of made it famous, right? That was the one that everybody kind of remembers, was the Curtis Blow version of it. Yeah. It changed because they corrupted it. I believe more and more about the privatized prison system. It's scary. It really is. I was in high school during Wild Wild West. Oh, that's really James West. That was a long time ago. Wild Wild West. The first James Bond 007 did a simple case of self-defense. The second hit, the intelligence agency boss sitting in the chair was guilty of treason. See that? There's a fan. The game has always been good, paying homage to his ancestors, which is a tenet of hip hop. Okay, there you go. Yeah, record scratch. When they go woo, 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 right? Allegedly, that happened at a club in New York the first time ever, when somebody came in and fired a pistol, and the cowboy, who was one of the Furious Five, as in Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five, went down. He had the two keyboards and went down and did the and everybody in the room was like, "What the hell is that?" That's how the story goes. That's how record scratch was invented, allegedly. Coast Contra is a great hip hop group, says Archie's mom. I'll tell you something. There's some Eminem stuff that I love, and I loved it because my kid, I'm an old man, but my son was listening to Eminem back in the day, and I would hear it, and I'd be like, wow, dude definitely can write some lyrics. MC is another tenant, so half of these rappers are not hip hop. Fact. See this again? A fan. Yeah, sucker MCs. This the whole the early days of rap. I remember when Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five came out with the album The Message, right? And the New York Times called it a intense urban look at Reaganomics and ghetto life in the 80s. That was the review. If that's not word for word, it's so freaking close, it's scary. Because I remember reading it and going, what the hell are they talking about? And that is why I went and bought the album. I was like, what is this? And I love that album, man. I love that album. My son introduced me to Slim Shady too. See that? I get it. I watched all seasons of 24, Kiefer Sutherland, Jack Bauer. You know what's really funny? I'm not kidding you. When that first came out, one of the early episodes, there's a guy talking about addiction. And he said in one of the episodes, what does the needle take away for you? Because it gives nothing. That stuck with me really my entire life, because it doesn't. Dope doesn't give you anything. It just takes stuff away. When I lived in LA, I went on a double date with Eminem's producer, Khalil. No kidding. It's crazy. Was he a good dude? Eminem is 53. Shut the front door. Eminem is 53? Good Lord, how's that possible? There's something about harmonics, there's something about pattern, and there's something about rhyming. And there's also something about the way that it's evolved. You'll hear people talk about certain wavelengths that are literally designed to do different things, right? I'm sorry, but Daniel Craig is not a Bond guy for me. Too new age for me. I like the old style Bond. All I'm saying is, I'm not even talking about Daniel Craig. I'm talking about the writing when he was Bond. All of the very kind of campy Batman 1966, like the West, Batman. I don't know, kind of freaks me out a little bit because it just didn't match it didn't match it at all. I love Jack Bauer, but Kiefer is a damaged soul. I don't know a lot about Kiefer Sutherland. My grandparents wouldn't let my mom listen to Elvis, too obscene. Well, good for them. Good for them. That man was absolutely awful. Yes, my girlfriend from Spelman University, been dating him, and she forced me to go out with his friend. Oh, no. You were you know what fellas call that? They force you to hop on a hand grenade. No, you gotta be my wingman. I'd be like, not happening. Blues Travelers? Have I got a Blues Traveler story for you? I actually lived on their tour bus for a while. Eminem, my dealing. He's arguing with his alter ego, and it's the rap that got him making art again. It was never released. No joke. I don't know anything about that. But I do know about John Popper. When I knew John Popper, he was a considerably bigger man than he is now. But a lot of people are saying they like Pierce Brosnan as Bond. Kiefer Sutherland went to jail for drunk driving. Spent a little time in jail myself. Yeah, I lived on John Popper's tour bus at one time. Not because I was a huge Blues Travelers fan, but because I was on the run, a fugitive from justice warrant, and I was kind of hiding. And I went to a bar. This is a true story. I went to a bar and I was broke, right? And I had a bag of ecstasy pills, and these were real ecstasy pills. They were made in Germany, and I acquired these from a general nutrition center where you could still get ecstasy legal in the United States. And when I say a big bag, I mean a big bag, right? I had thousands and thousands and thousands of these pills, and I couldn't afford cover to get in a bar where I could sell these to get on my feet. I was in a different state. I had gotten out of the state that I was in because I was wanted, so I was hiding. Yeah, those German ecstasy pills were fire. They really were. Zena something Technologies Corporation. It said XTC on those babies, and they were fire. But I was trying to get into a bar where I could sell these things because they were like $25 a piece, and I had a big bag of them. I'm like, I'll have an apartment in a week. I'll be back on my feet. I'm just going to hide. And the reason that I went to the bar is because it said on the big marquee, tonight only, free beer. And I figured it's free. I don't have to pay to get in, right? The name of the band that was playing was Free Beer. And John Popper was there to watch the band. Apparently they knew each other. And a guy said to me, I had sold a couple of these disco biscuits. And a guy said to me, hey, I know a guy that wants to buy a crap load of those. And I was like, what's a crap load? He's like 300 or 400. So they take me, and it's John Popper. And yeah, that's how that whole thing started. And he said, how much are they? I said, $25 a piece. He goes, what if I were to buy 300? I go, $25 a piece, right? Try finding these somewhere else. Here's kind of an obscure show, but have any of you seen The Prisoner from the 60s? No. Is this a modern show? I have no idea what that is. But I haven't watched TV in a very, very, very long time. That is not something that, what year was this? I could probably tell you if I had help. Johnny Scoville could probably help me. It was in the 90s. I don't know exactly what year it was. What a collection of adventures. Tommy, you were like a cat. No, you know what I was? I was a piece of shit. I'm sorry. Honestly, I was just not a good person. And it was, I was running from myself. And when you do that, you end up in some of the weirdest situations in the world. When that was going on, yeah, he was a big dude. He was a very, very big dude. When I was on the run there, I ended up getting an apartment with a guy who we'll call AB, because that's what his initials were. He's a really great guy. I still am in contact with him from time to time. But I lived across the street from a fraternity house on the hill in Boulder, Colorado. And what would happen is they would get in a fight across the street, and the cops would pull up to get them. And I would jump out the back window of this place thinking the cops were for me and run into the woods. It was a terrifying time to be alive. It sucked. And when they finally got me and I was arrested, I was like, honestly, the relief of I'm not running anymore was somewhat overwhelming. I am a weirdo. I know every word to Sabbath and some of Marilyn Manson, but I also love ABBA. Do you know that in all of the time that human beings have been on planet Earth, this is a sentence that no one has put together? What are the odds that these words have never been put together in a sentence? I know every word to Sabbath and some of Marilyn Manson, but I also love ABBA. That's the first time that sentence has ever been uttered by anybody on planet Earth. And I find that fascinating. I really do. I love theater music. And I think Audra in Denver may as well. Who's ABBA? Monk, monk, monk. Come on, you're better than that. You're better than that. Right? Dancing Queen? Come on, man. You're like, Archie's mom, there's a lot of truth to this. See that? Love ABBA. Look at all the people that are admitting they love ABBA. That's one of the beauties of the lifeboat. It will allow people that would never say this out loud to say, I love ABBA. No one's going to pick on you for that here. Even Fernando. I'm not going to pick on you for loving the song Fernando. Monk might. Monk might. Cindy G says, Audra in Denver, I don't think you're a weirdo. I don't think you're a weirdo because you like ABBA. The Marilyn Manson thing freaks me out a little bit, but the ABBA thing doesn't. And Black Sabbath doesn't either. ABBA does mean father. That's right. That is absolutely what it means. In fact, right, that is, if you look up what Jesus said on the cross, he said, Abba, Abba, right? Father, Father. ABBA drives me nuts because it was the only tape my stepfather owned and would torture us on road trips. See, Rocket Queen likes Fernando. SOS, another great song. Another great song. Give me a man. All right, that's it. I'll go no further. I can't back that up. I might go further. I do like ABBA, man. I had a serious older head-banging brother. Yeah. Yeah. He cried out, Father, Father, why have thou forsaken me, right? And then he also said, it is done. My little brother eventually threw that tape out the window. Do you want to hear something? I have an ABBA tape out the window story. I wish I knew where my brother was right now. We went to my Uncle Clifford's wedding. Clifford's no longer with us. He passed away. He's one of the nicest men I ever met. He was well off. He went to the hospital for a very minor procedure, and they nicked him inside, and it ended up killing him. It's a terrible story. but he was such a great dude. And we were out there in Long Island for his wedding. And one of his best men had just bought a Toyota Celica Supra. And I'm talking about before they were rounded in any way. Now they're worth about 600 grand if you can have one, like the original Celica Supra. And we were going down the Long Island Expressway and he pumped in an ABBA cassette. And my brother went, "What the hell is this?" And he goes, "It's ABBA." My brother's like, "ABBA sucks." And the guy popped it out of the cassette and threw it out the sunroof. I laughed so hard for so long. The Passion of the Christ is a very hard movie to watch, but I think it's necessary. I have not seen it. And I never will. And people get really offended when I say that. Oh, you don't have to worry about dental work. He was having work done inside his intestines and they nicked him. You don't have to worry about dental work. I hate going to the dentist, but sedation dentistry is really good at what they do. You have nothing to fear. I promise you. Nora Blaine, you have nothing to fear. I promise you. I'm sorry about the Passion of the Christ. So many people say that. Yeah, you know what it is for me personally? It's like Mel Gibson. Mel Gibson makes a cameo appearance in that film. Most people don't know that. But he's holding a nail in his hand, and he's holding the hammer. That's Mel Gibson. Waterloo's a great song. Waterloo. That's him. That's the only time you see him. And I put him on that cross. I feel that very deeply in my soul, especially since stopping what I do. An underrated movie, Hellboy, where they play one of Barry Manilow's songs. I like Barry Manilow too. I used to get called Hellboy in prison. It used to kind of bother me because of the whole. I have unusually large paws. If you ever get a chance to meet me in real life, it's one of the first things you'll notice. I have really unnaturally large hands. I own a hair salon. You should hear the responses to my playlist. Audrey in Denver, why are you not singing at your hair salon? You own it. You should be singing there. I'm disappointed. You better start singing at your hair salon. I swear to you, I'm going to ask you if you're doing it. I'm not kidding. Hope Between the Dreams said, Reese was my #1 channel this year. You were #2. Aw, means a lot to me. What does a naturally large, unnaturally? If you would just have to see me in person. Okay, look at this compared to my head, right? Do that next to a mirror. And I have a huge head. Talk about misusing a brush, no singing. You know what? All right, look, I don't want to shame you, but the next time you say this, I am literally, the next time you say this, I'm going to say, all right, people, boo this woman. You don't want that. I don't bring this out on the boat often, Audrey, but keep it up. And I will bust out with a boo this woman. Hopefully somebody got that reference. Man, you talking about some damn weed? Boo this man. My father had large hands. I love it. Well, yeah, I have mine are a little too big. They really are. It's one of those, and it's something that I used to be really self-conscious about. You get older and you lose your self-conscious about anything. Yeah, see that? This is spoken like an intelligent person. I didn't know year-end wrap-ups happen either. If it sounds good in your head, then it does sound good. You understand how that works, right? The Love Boat was my #1 channel, and Chase the Heat was #2. Archie's mom, I am touched. I think Johnny would be too. I thought it was just a Spotify thing. No, apparently they do it here. Wendy R says, I cannot sing, but who cares? Yeah, you know something? Honest to God, that Carole King said I can't sing. Carole King! Carole King didn't believe she could sing. She also didn't think she was attractive enough to go out on stage. Carole King wrote every song you ever liked. I'm being a wise ass, but she wrote an unbelievable number of hits and let other people do them. But when she started going on stage and singing her own stuff, she was just amazing. But I can't sing, but I will lip sync the hell out of a song. Jamie Palmer, I like it. I like it. I really do. However, I don't believe that you can't sing. You know what? Honest, yeah, Bob Dylan wrote a ton of songs. He really did. He wrote the other ones. But yeah, if you look up, Neil Sedaka wrote quite a few too. But if you look up just Google that. Don't do it now because I can't afford to have my audience get smaller. But just Google all of the songs that Carole King wrote, and you'll go, holy hell. She wrote for Aretha. She wrote for everybody, man. People. So this is a true story, right? No joke. I was voted the best voice in high school. Now, there is a man and a woman, and I was the guy who was voted the best male voice in my high school. Since then, I smoked 2 million cigarettes, 45 tons of crack, 400 tons of heroin, right? Snorted a bunch of blow, did a bunch of meth. Like, I destroyed my vocal cords. But I come on here, and every time one of you says a song, I'm like, yeah, and I just start singing. Just got to get over it and then have fun with the process. Cranberry sauce, cranberry sauce, cranberry sauce. I buried Paul. You know what? Hopefully everybody got that reference. That is just a great reference. You were voted best female singer, Hope Between the Dreams. Well, I'll be damned. That's awesome. And you know, in the picture from my yearbook, I'm wearing a Bugle Boy sweatshirt. Yep, you look back, and I had a little bit of hair, slightly more than I have now. It's thinned out quite a bit over the years. I do shave it every morning, but Strawberry Fields is one of the selling points. BID for me. Strawberry Fields is a great one. Oh, no way. My Guitar Gently Weeps is such a great song. Clapton's guitar solo on that is fantastic. You know, it's not overdone. It's not anything crazy. It's just beautiful. Okay, then you own the damn place. You better start singing and doing it tomorrow. I do it in front of hundreds of people, right? I make an idiot out of myself daily for your entertainment. You better start singing in there. The Paul is dead. I'm well aware of the Paul is dead. That's, you know, no shoes on as he's walking across the street. Yeah, I remember all of that. All of that. The Beatles were a big band growing up. The Beatles didn't think George Harrison was serious about that song, and he got Eric Clapton to help him out with it. And we got While My Guitar Gently Weeps. Stupid Beatles. Yeah, it's a great song. Well, it was so hot I had to take my shoes off, said Paul McCartney. You know what? I love a good Beatles fan. I was a Beatles fanatic for a long time. Grateful Dead fanatic for a long time. And by fanatic, I mean I read all the books. I got into all of it. I had my Sirius radio in the car, the Beatles channel for months. Rocket Queen, I respect that. Happiness is a Warm Gun. Oh, man, that song comes on and I start going like this. When I hold you in my arm. Yeah, Happiness is a Warm Gun is tough. So is Everybody's Got Something to Hide Except for Me and My Monkey. If you read the last interview that John Lennon did, it's in Playboy magazine. The last interview he did was Playboy magazine, and if you're a person that had a really bad drug problem, you'll read that and go, he was on dope. Why don't we do it in the road? Never heard that one. I'm kidding. Great song. You did the Manhattan Transfer. So did I. We did a lot of Manhattan Transfer when I was in high school. A lot of it. We had an a cappella band. The Manhattan Transfer. I saw it in a concert. You talk about a talented band. The song Give Me Jesus on the Line. If you listen to the Manhattan Transfer's version of that, unbelievable. Unbelievable. He knew it was coming. Yeah, and he talks about living on, he said, I live on chocolate and cigarettes. I don't do anything other than that. Look, if you ever done heroin, chocolate and cigarettes is like, he was, I think he was pretty strung out when he got shot. You like Lay Down Sally? Great song. I think it is possible for anybody to write them out of songs they wrote that were so good their catalog is way too fast and thick for the amount of time that they were. Yeah, you know what? I tend to agree with you. That's so cool. The Lifeboat and Chase Deed have got me through 2025. You know what? That's a beautiful thing to say. I mean that, Archie's mom. I needed to hear that today too. I really did. This has been a tough day, but and a mocking bird sang in Berkeley Square. Yeah, that's a beautiful song. That is a beautiful song. I'm so tired is another good one. I'm so tired. Thank you, Archie's mom. Honestly, I don't know if you saw me a bit. Yeah, it's a Mockingdale. Mockingdale. Oh, see, now you got my head all weirded out. The chat all day gives love. You know what? It does. And it goes in both directions, people. I promise you it does. What's a Mockingdale? Is that a type of mockingbird? It's a great song is what it is. I'm going to have to listen to that as soon as I hang up Audra in Denver. So the lyric is Mockingdale? I don't think so. Maybe I'm wrong. Look, I still thought that I saw AC/DC play It's a Long Way to the Top, and I never did. So I could be wrong. My mom was the biggest fan of the Beatles. Her best friend was the booking agent for West Coast. She was at their Shea Stadium. She was at Shea Stadium. You're woofing me. You're woofing me. That had to be, oh man, you talk about a concert to see. And by all accounts, it wasn't a great concert in terms of the music. Holy mackerel. Do you know what's really funny? I just got a picture of my mother standing with Santa, and it really does look like Santa, but it was just somebody shopping. She was 14. Can you imagine seeing the Beatles at 14? And that was at a time when, yeah. Yeah, I did see a lot of concerts. I did. But again, that's a side effect from a life that probably wasn't a really healthy one. I'm glad that I saw all of them, but the amount of dope that I did, right? Like, honest to God, like, you know, I did a lot of acid, especially like Dead concerts. I just did a lot of drugs, but it is, yeah, I couldn't go to concerts anymore. I don't like crowds anymore. Like I remember going, hold on. I have a hard time believing that all music is evil. It's a gift from God, even though Lucifer is the, look, you know what? I think that there's a bunch of really incredible music that really does beautiful things. But there's some music out there that's evil as shit too, I promise you. And I had been talking about doing this. Maybe we'll get to this at some point. But the number of artists who have said out loud, I sold my soul to Satan to become a rock star. Now I realize this could just be something that they think is really funny to say, but the number of people that have said it is terrifying. Terrifying. She dated Steve Miller in college in Boston and was friends with the Dead. Holy hell, that's cool. Steve Miller, my second concert, they did not even play any song I knew except The Joker. Well, The Joker's a pretty damn good one. It may not be their best one, but it's a damn good one. That was for Johnny. He might not even be watching, but that was a reference for him. Your mom was friends with the Grateful Dead. Woo-hoo-hoo! Hope between, yeah, that's heavy, man. That really is. Your mom was the prototype for Band-Aids in Almost Famous. You know who that really was, right? That was supposed to be Marianne Faithfull. And you know the song, Sweet, oh, Carrie Ann. That is, Carrie Ann was actually about Marianne Faithfull, who allegedly hung out with a lot of band members. She apparently was not without skills. They must have had a new album out that year. I was 15, not one damn song, and it was horrible. Yeah, that sucks. That sucks. Did any of the songs you saw then, did they ever become hits? Don't say abracadabra. But did any of the songs that they played at that show become hits? Oh, that's tough, man. Then moved out to the West Coast and became a hippie for Jesus. Love that. Love that. And that's how your mom and dad met? That's so cool, man. They did not play one song that became a hit after the fact? Well, that's downright depressing. If you knew all of the people that were all friends that started, like, for instance, Boz Scaggs was very close friends with Steve Miller before either of them were famous. For real. I was 15, it was 90 something, and all the songs were already made. They didn't play not one of them. I'd have thrown shit at the stage. I'm sorry, man. I know that that's probably out of line. I'd have thrown shit at the stage. The only song that Steve Miller played was The Joker. I'd have gone nuts. I'd have gone nuts. This is a story about Billy Joel and Bobby Sue. I'd have been like, I'd have the cigarette lighter up. Freebird! Now they're both together in heaven again. I love that Hope Between the Dreams. I really do. I love that. And not one of the songs they played I heard since. You know what? I know, look, if you're a rock star, like if you've ever heard, I'm a Billy Joel fan. You guys probably know this. And Billy Joel used to do concerts for very small numbers of people. And you had to pay a crap load of money. It was insane money. But you could actually ask questions and he talked to the crowd. It was really cool. Got to check out Archie's mom. Have a good night's sleep. Thank you so much for spending time with us. And I appreciate the support. It means the world to me. But so, you know, somebody asked him about Piano Man. And Piano Man is obviously probably the song that we know him by the most. It was never a number one song. And he said it's a limerick. And if you hear that, it's a bummer, right? There once was a girl from Nantucket. You know, the whole concept of a limerick, right? It's 9 o'clock on a Saturday. The regular crowd shuffles in. There's an old man sitting next to me making love to his tonic and gin. It's a limerick. It really is. Now, it's a haunting ass limerick, but to him, it wasn't a big deal. And to him, it's not a great song. It really isn't. But to the crowd that's watching him, it's an amazing song. So he goes out and he does it, and he does it like it's the first time. He did it every single time. I just got that song in my head. I can hear Billy Joel now. Here's the thing. If Wendy R., and here's what I would say about Billy Joel. If the only songs that you know of Billy Joel are hits, I'd hate him too. If you know Allentown and you know Piano Man and you know We Didn't Start the Fire, like the songs that were big hits for him aren't great songs. But his B tracks, Vienna is a great freaking song, right? That's a good song. One of my favorites, by the way, or Scenes from an Italian Restaurant. The songs that most people, James, songs that most people don't hear unless they're really into them. They did overplay Billy Joel. Captain Jack, oh my God. About a dope dealer, by the way. Zombie was a great song. Unfortunately, Dope got that band too. The Downeaster Alexa. Yeah, that's a great song. He got fed to us daily in the 80s. Yeah. Here's the thing, man. So my introduction was my sister's first boyfriend was always trying to you know, make time with my sister. And he would try to get rid of me, right? Because I was the little kid that hung around. I was like 6. So he threw me a album. He's like, this is 52nd Street. You should go listen to it. And I did. And I had an uncle who was a eye surgeon. He's very Moving Out, Anthony's song. Great song. Really good song. Good piece of trivia for you. What kind of vehicle made the engine revving in that? Sounds like a Harley Davidson. It's not. It's a great piece of Billy Joel trivia. But, oh, wow. The last book I wrote, I used Billy Joel songs for chapter titles. I love that. But I said to my uncle, he said, what do you want for Christmas? I said, Billy Joel. If you got any Billy, you know, give me a Billy Joel album. And he goes, well, do you have any? I said, I have 52nd Street. He bought me every other album that he had ever done. And so I was like, and then I had told my other uncle on my dad's side the same thing. And he had bootlegged a concert that Billy Joel did in Long Island. And to this day, it's probably considered one of the best concerts he ever did. It was the live at the CW Post. If you ever get a chance to listen to it. Saxophone solo on New York State of Mind will blow your mind. One of the best ever. And you listen to it and he's like, I think he did She's Got Away. And he's like, this is kind of a brand new song. It's a premiere. I think it was that one. Might have been She's Got Away. Or She's Always a Woman. It was one or the other. So if people in other countries look over here and think we have culture, I guess that's a good thing. I feel they mostly hate us because we're stupid. I kind of feel that way too. And you know what? Barbara, you're a writer. That's so awesome to me. I can't even journal because my own brain gets in the way. Yeah, you can. You just have to not give a shit what goes down on paper. Because I'm telling you, people listen to me talk, and I get this once a week. Someone will go, "Oh, you ought to write a book." If I could write, right, I would have already written a book. I can't write. I can journal because I know the only person that's ever going to look at it is me. And if you looked at the words, I promise you, it might look like hieroglyphics to you because I just don't have the brain to write. He played "We Didn't Start the Fire" to teach us. You know what? They certainly use it in every high school. Harry Truman, Doris Day, he goes year by year, right? Live streaming for me is a verbal journal. I get that. I absolutely get that. It's very much like that for Reese. Uptown Girl, that, you know what's a, try Christy Lee, Billy Joel, Christy Lee. Try Easy Money. Try Great Wall of China, Blonde Over Blue, A Matter of Trust, right? These weren't huge hits, but they were great songs. I have the brain. I let my own way because I'm afraid it'll be censored or read or doesn't sound right. That's why I say I can't. Oh, I get that. I get that. And that was me for years. And then one day I was just like, I had a friend that convinced me that if I didn't start doing this, I was never going to get sober. And I've said it before. If he had said, cut this thing off and mail it to Philadelphia, I'd have done it. I was so tired of being a junkie. Turn the lights back on. Yeah. After, you know what's funny, Audra in Denver, the song that he did before that, the last one released, was called Famous Last Words, where it said, these are the last words I have to say, right? But then he did Turn the Lights Back On, which is cool because it got him a top 40 hit in 4 decades, 5 decades, something like that. You will thank me if you research his songs. Captain Jack's another really good one. Yeah, here's the thing. You can do it. You absolutely can do it. Barbara Waite says, I have trouble journaling because I want to fix the story. Yeah, I get it. Cindy G, keep doing that. And I have a feeling there's a day coming where I'm going to give you an update on that. There's a crack in everything. That's how the light gets through. Leonard Cohen. I love that. I love that. Hey, you want to read an amazing book? Read The Poets of Tin Pan Alley. People always ask me for recommendations. Read Poets of Tin Pan Alley. When I watched Almost Famous with my mom for the first time, I heard her say, I want to be Penny Lane someday. And she said, I hope my daughter had higher aspirations. I love it. I love it. Like mother, like daughter. Yeah, that's awesome. Hope, that's awesome. What a great story, though. That's so freaking cool. It really is. It really is. I've been blessed in a lot of ways that I've met some really cool people. I just wish I had met them all sober. I've told the story before, and it's on film. My friend Danny, he's a Canadian, but he still has the film and the video. And this was when we had video cameras. But I was having the first time that I met Muhammad Ali. It was in a group of people, but we were working together on a project. But I went upstairs to his hotel room and we sat down with him. And my friend who I was working with, this public speaker named Danny, he goes, oh man, why don't I have a video camera? He's like, no one's going to ever believe this. And Ali said, go get your video camera. And when he came back in and started filming, he goes, hey man, he's walking down the hall. He's like, I'm going to see a couple of friends of mine. They're having breakfast. And the door opens and he walks in and he's like, it's the greatest of all time. And then he panned over to me and Ali goes, yeah, the great white dope, not great white hope. And it bummed me out, right? And he was one of those guys that you couldn't bullshit. One of the first times that I ever met him, and I was talking about going on stage, he grabbed my arm and said, don't let your drug habit screw up what we're doing. And like, I would like to go back and do that over and not be wasted. You know what I mean? I got over on a lot of people. There were a ton of people that didn't know who or what I was, but there were people that I met that did. And that was, that's a bummer. You meet people that you think are really cool and you don't do it at your best. But if I wasn't a burnout and a junkie, I probably wouldn't have met any of these people anyway, right? It was but those are the times, right? And it does land me exactly where I'm at right now. She's one of the famous hippies in the picture of the girl and guy kissing in the water series. No way. No way. That was your mom. Holy hell, Hope. That's crazy. What's crazy is at one time, I had that. I actually had that at one time. I am home. No, sir. Redos. Life turned out the way it needed to. You know what? And here's the thing. We don't know what tomorrow is going to bring for any one of us, right? Hey, Angie Mo, good to see you. We don't know what tomorrow is going to bring, right? But either way, you wake up with yourself, right? Yes. Penny Lane says to the dude, "You are home," on the tour bus, and I love that part. Yeah, I do too. It's a great film. It's a very well-made film. The road takes us where we're supposed to end up, in my opinion. I agree with you, Barbara Wade. And no one knows what tomorrow will bring, but you're definitely going to wake up with yourself. You said earlier you're running from yourself. I said I used to run from myself. And that's the thing, no matter where you run to, there you are. It's absolutely right. It's absolutely right. No way, Jamie Palmer. That's cool as hell. It's so good I might watch it tonight. Well, there you go. Yesterday is the past, tomorrow is the future, today is the present. Take the gift. I like that. I like that. I really do. That's absolutely beautiful. And what we're doing right now, right? It's kind of amazing to me that when we were in the 80s, nobody was going, this is just the coolest time in the entire world, right? But you look back and, the good old days, what did Billy say? The good old days weren't always good, right? And tomorrow is never as bad as it seems. There you go. Tomorrow might be a shit show, but it might be a parade. Got to wake up and find out. I love that. You know what? I might leave with that note right there. We never knew that all our freedoms would be taken away. Yeah, I bought them back. I did. I'm as free as you could possibly be here. I love Philip Seymour Hoffman's role in Almost Famous. You know what? That dude didn't do anything I didn't like in it. My heart was broken when he died, especially how he died. He was a guy that shouldn't have died. If you ever saw his acceptance speech, I can't remember whether it was a SAG award or a Academy Award or which one it was, but he got up and talked about his mother and how his mother had to be his father. And if he was watching hockey, she put a hockey shirt on and sat next to him. And he was up there getting the award, and he said, "We made it, Mom." And the day that he died, that's all I could think about was his mother. He was like, "We're here. We made it." And it was like getting punched in the stomach. If he had died of a heart attack, I wouldn't have given a shit. I'm sorry. It's the truth, right? We all die. But what a waste for him to die of. He was in Boogie Nights. He absolutely was in Boogie Nights. Great character in that too. Great character. I don't think he did a film that he was bad in. I really don't. But it was heart-wrenching to me when he died. Farley was the same way. I feel it so much more intensely when they die of drug overdoses, because there is nobody on earth that did more dope. You know what I mean? And I dodged that bullet. And it's going to sound stupid as shit to a lot of people, but it's like survivor guilt. When somebody who's famous, who you're just like, man, he had all the money in the world. He had to have been doing a bunch of dope. Like, how did his habit not kill him when my habit didn't? And I tried taking myself out with that drug and couldn't. I shot 3 grams of heroin. And you know what? I wasn't broke. I tried to kill myself when I had more money in the bank and more money at my house than I ever had. It was just, it was not something that ever made me happy. But yeah, I miss Philip Seymour Hoffman. That was I'm never gonna get over that one. That's just one that really freaking hurt. Prince was the same way. Prince was one that really hurt. All right, people. Between now and the next time I see you, put a little love in your heart. And you know what? If you're feeling low, crank up a little freaking music, because I think it might make you happy, right? And if you've never heard of Delbert McClinton, just go try Boxcar B Movie. You can thank me later. Caught a ride in South Dakota with 2 girls in a light blue DeSoto. Good night, everybody. I'm Tommy. We'll see you on the next one. Sin Star. I owe you one, brother. Will, if you guys haven't gone and subscribed, get your ass over there and subscribe. If you can keep me sober, he can help you too. All right, we'll see you on the next one. God bless.